So take me through these letters that you and your bishop would get from people that were convinced
how many
you
hours
were,
do you do?
you were
What are we doing? This is insanity. The bishops. Oh, we're going to cover all this ground. All right. Well, yeah, no, there's.
We tried to do our homework.
You know, there's. It was. I guess he told me there's all kinds of letters from women and their parents and people that's, you know, had kind of divine insight that we needed to be married to me. And so there's all this insanity going on around my life. Gratefully for me, I lived in a little bubble, and I kind of just made my way without a lot of fanfare.
What about the NFL ref and the Italian food recommendation?
I thought it was Mexican food, but it was Italian. I think you're right. We were in law school together, and he was the referee, and he said, "Look, you guys should go on a date." And then the story goes that he called roughing against the pastor, and then he turned to me and winked and said, "She likes Mexican." I thought maybe it was Italian. I can't remember, but yeah, it actually happened. It was funny.
There was a period of your life, though, where it seemed like, from what I read and the folks I talked to close to you, that, you know, you'd gotten yourself pretty worked up, that, you know, the holidays were tough for you because you just kind of felt like maybe I'm not going to find my person,
yeah,
right?
No, I mean, not only kind of culturally, which is like you get Mormon kids get married and LDS kids get married and have kids, but I didn't want to live alone. Like, living alone sucks. And so, yeah, time went on, and, you know, there's a famous quote from Brigham Young. He's a three great-grandfather. He said, anyone who's not married by 28 is a menace to society. So I remember when I turned 28, I was like, well, I'm a menace. And from, you know, January to June, there was like a window to kind of have a relationship, try to figure something out, and then you had to go back and just grind it out. And so we did that for 18 years, and I needed to meet somebody that really resonated with me.
So his friend saw me at what's called a missionary farewell, and I was walking across, and he turned to his wife and said, "That's Steve Young's wife." And she said, "What? You just saw her and you know that?" He's like, "Yeah, I know it." And she said, "Well, I happen to know her. I work with her, and this is her name, and et cetera." So then he contacted me and proceeded to tell me all about Steve. And I was like, "Yeah, no."
Wait, what did he say?
He's an athlete, he plays football. I was like, no.
So then some years go by.
10 years.
And I call him and I say, "Look, you know, trouble meeting people that are
interested
in.
I haven't met my wife, dating all these girls."
Time. And he goes, "I told you who your wife was 10 years ago. Let me see if she's married." And he calls me back and says, "She's not married. In fact, I'll set it up with you two." And I was like, "Really? That's crazy. What are you talking, like, are you nuts? It's like, this is nuts." And he goes, No, it's happening." I remember the first time I heard Barb's voice on an answer machine. I was leaving her a message that I was going to be late for our first date. And her voicemail came on, and it was her voice, and I just heard a voice that I just feel like familiar. You know, I don't know how do you put that in context other than just a feeling you had, and then by that night, feeling like, man, you know, I never went home from Phoenix. I drove in a rental car and stayed till training camp and dated her and got engaged.
Why do you think the relationship works?
There's a real yin and yang, you know, like the things I'm pretty good at, there are things that I think can rub off on her, and there's things that she's really good at that I really need work. And there's also a fundamental kind of, like, we're better together.
What's this guy like as a Sunday school teacher?
Oh, fantastic. Oh my gosh. He's so great. Because he's all about love. There's no fire and brimstone. There's no, like, transactional relationship. It's all about love. I think that there's a essence to someone who is just connected and connected to everything, to the universe, to the people, to everything around us. And I think that's initially what I was attracted to, was that he just felt very present and connected and
It's comfortable from the beginning.
yeah.
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 I think that's probably right. For two people that are a little older, stubborn, independent, like that was not like simple, right? Because when you're a little bit older, you've gotten more time on your own, more, and so there was all kinds of challenges, but over the top of it all was this, I don't know, this resonance.
I want to talk to you about faith. So you moved to, as you call it, the mean streets of Greenwich. The summer going into 4th grade, you moved from Utah, and there were only 2 Mormon families there at the time. So what was that like for you guys, especially given where you were coming from?
So my religion was an oddity to people. We had a big game, and there was a big party my senior year, and I was now the Mormon kid that didn't drink and goody two-shoes. You can be cynical about it, you know. And the kids from the other team came, and I was kind of surrounded, and they were like, let's take him down, we'll get this kid to finally take a drink. And out of nowhere comes all of my friends, all my teammates, all of my kids from all over Greenwich, right? And they like, you do not touch this guy.
And those were the Catholic kids.
These are
right?
this is, and he doesn't, and I honestly felt like, you know, there's a kinship to the respect that you have for each other. And I felt that in high school. I felt that when I went pro. I had to laugh about it, right? Everyone, all the linemen go to the bar and have beers. That's the social life. And so here I'm the quarterback. I'm supposed to gather these guys and like, hey, come fight for me, you know, but I can't go to the bar, you know, like, but I can. I'll go. And then the first time I went down at USFL and some old grizzled veterans that come down, they had a big jug of a pitcher of milk as a joke.
And I'm not trying to be too indelicate, but no premarital sex either,
so that's
right?
how it works.
Pregnant, honeymoon,
Wedding night.
Wedding night.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
That has to test the bounds on your tolerance.
I don't know. You know, it's funny. Fidelity for me is it's just, I would not want to burden anybody with how I think about it, but fidelity was always something super important to me.
All right, so 4 kids.
Yep.
Was he really the only one that changed the diapers?
No, I mean, I would change the diapers when he wasn't there.
That's not a bad setup.
Oh, no, not at all. I was nursing. I had a job.
But that was, honestly,
but that was him. Everything's fair. Everything's fair.
I revere,
yeah.
I saw childbirth and I revere the sacrifice. I'm watching her go through all this, like, how can I dive in and kind of partner up? And it's like, well, I guess I could change it. I'm trying to come up with stuff, you know?
Right.
Like, what can I do? I change it. And then she was serious about it. It's like, oh yeah, you said it.
Great.
I was the greatest diaper changer. Like, you know me, we're gonna get really good at it. I remember we were at a restaurant. We took Braden, our oldest, with us in a car seat everywhere. He was always with us. And we were at a pretty fancy restaurant. And Braden, you know, we had to change the diaper, and it was bad. So I go in the men's bathroom. Of course, there's no changing table. So I do the wall sit against the wall, kind of like, and make a thing. I got the bag here, I got Braden here. And I'm telling you, Graham, it was the greatest feat of athleticism as I took Braden up and cleaned everything up, made everything, didn't make a mess. I remember as I finished the diaper, a guy that I didn't notice was kind of staring at me. He goes, "Are you Steve Young?" And I remember this, I'm not making this up. I remember like taking a second going, "Yes, I am." You know, like, look what just happened, bro. You couldn't find, and that was like one of my great moments, athletic moments. And I was in a wall sit for like 3 minutes. I was like athletic feat. But yeah, that's part of our raising the kids.
Speaking of athletic moments, daughters in track and field
Yes.
for
So
BYU?
my boys, Braden's a music theater major. He's on trying to make it on Broadway right now. Jackson's in production and in school for performance. And then so my boys, love them, but they didn't play football, which is fine. They didn't play sports really. It was awesome. I had to learn how to parent someone unique. And my girls are incredible athletes. Summer is a track star, high jump heptathlete in college.
There we go. She got it. She got it.
And Lila is a dancer and is going to be famous for it. She's really, really good. So the kids are all unique, different, and that's cool.
And one of the benefits of not having the ESPN gig anymore is flag football coaching, right?
So girls flag football is now in the California State Federation. The girls came to me and said, Dad, we're going to go out for flag football. I'm like, cool. They came up from the first practice and said, hey, coach asked if you could come help. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess I have to. You guys are playing. I've loved being around it. I've loved their joy in it. And I've had more fun coaching the girls in flag football and then on things in a long time.
How do you figure out what the right balance is between all the success you've had creating endless opportunities for your children and avoiding dampening motivation?
I've always said for the kids, the one thing that I want you to be able to have is the ability to do hard things. To be vulnerable enough to recognize when you've screwed up and then go fix it. It's unnerving because as a kid, what you learn most is how to grind it out. And if you steal that from kids.
The struggle.
But then how do you put your kids in a situation where they're struggling when you can fix it? You don't need to struggle, I can fix that. And then your kids can grow up with resenting you because you're like, you let me struggle when you could have fixed it. So it's a dynamic that's super complex. I hope that I have not stolen from the kids in a way that could really hurt their development because they didn't get the challenge or the at-riskness that I think is super important. I've read parenting books. I've asked people questions a lot. How do you do this? But man, parenting is a white knuckle experience.